Thank you for joining me. You are now listening to the Vault XL. This is live number 2, compilation video of breaking news and updates. So what's new? Sarah Boone will now be getting possibly another attorney or representing herself. This is breaking news coming from Court TV. BTK update, information pertaining to his conversation with his daughter. They have just finally met face-to-face after 18 years. Rex Heuremann, possibly linked to another victim out of South Carolina. I will bring you conversations pertaining to a daughter of the victim. Gilgo Beach's ex-police chief arrested for solicitation. We'll also bring you that said information. Let's start off with Sarah Boone. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $sign Big Angie, 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. Court TV is the source, uploaded 18 hours ago. Sarah Boone's attorney has filed a motion to withdraw from the case, saying that Boone's best option is to represent herself. This is the latest in a string of attorneys who have withdrawn from representing Boone. She's accused of zipping up her boyfriend inside a suitcase, leaving him there to die. Her trial is set to begin October 2nd. Court TV. What do you think? Well, let's read some of the comments. Pinned by Court TV. Learn why the attorney says no one can satisfy her needs. They have a link in the chat if you want to read that said article. Well, let's use common sense. No one can satisfy her because she's crazy or playing crazy, and she's defiant and combative, and they can't get a word in. They can't recommend suggestions as how to defend her. So that would be a problem. And when you have someone, plural, deciding not to represent you, you're just postponing the inevitable. Because stupidly, she filmed the boyfriend inside of the suitcase, and that's her downfall. And she's going to have to prove to 12 members of a jury that she did not intentionally put him in there to watch him die. And see, the thing about the cell phone is that it doesn't really matter what you put on the phone. Download, film, Google search, take pictures of. It's internally inside of the phone. So you can erase all the information that you want. It's in there. It's not going anywhere. That's why FBI, police take the phone, download the phone. They go inside of the phone and do an internal investigation. And that's where they find all your little dirty secrets, conversations, so on and so forth. So there's no erasing anything. The only time they can't get a lot of information from the phone is if they don't have access to the phone. So Sarah, that's where you messed up, is by filming him and talking to him while he was still alive and cursing him and telling him about how he treated you, blah, 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 which would lead someone to believe that you intentionally put him in there, and or he did climb in there as a joke, but thought you would let him out. You're entitled to your interpretation, because I wasn't there and I do not know if he climbed in or she put him in, or he was passed out drunk and she drug him over to the suitcase and put him in. I don't know. But her filming herself talking to him and him telling her he couldn't breathe, it's a bad look that you could have preserved his life, but you chose not to. And your defense is that you all were playing a game. You went upstairs, fell asleep, came back down the next afternoon and realized you didn't see him and that he was possibly still inside of the suitcase, which you already knew that he was in there, because you talking to him leads one to believe that you intentionally let him stay in there. You didn't let him out. And she's going to have a hard time defending herself, because 9 times out of 10, she's going to be all over the place, such as what she's been doing with her attorneys who've tried to represent her. And the court is going to become very bored with her. I think we all know this. Next update. Let's see, where do I want to go? Let's start with Mr. BTK. Court TV is also the source of this information uploaded 15 hours ago. BTK, the former property, Kansas property, was searched for clues in the unsolved case of 16-year-old Cynthia Kinney. The Osage County Sheriff says they found items of interest that can possibly connect Dennis Rader to the 1976 teen disappearance in Oklahoma. Very interesting. Amazing how things can transpire. Let me go back to Miss Sarah Boone for just a second, because I meant to read some things that people said. Jonathan Rush says, please represent yourself, Sarah. The jury can't wait to hear about your high school career. Wow, I don't really know what that means. And someone made a smart comment. I thought high school was just school. I didn't know it was a career. Somebody replies to a comment made. You're so funny, but also so right. Sarah was amazing in high school. She had the best grades. She was friends with everyone, and when they all played hide and seek, no one died. In high school, Sarah single-handedly developed the technology that saved the ozone layer. It's such a shame she peaked in high school. Okay. She's probably going to rebuttal all the defense arguments when it was not intentional. I can already see her repeating that over and over, laughing emoji. Then somebody says, what is the grounds for hearing her high school story? A lot of crazy nonsense. Somebody says, when did she brag about high school? What interview? I saw her interrogation. I don't remember this. Then somebody says, I guess you weren't paying attention during the police interview at the station. Ha ha. Oh, yes, please. And please live stream it too. Somebody replied, she did. She excelled at everything. Then somebody's letting him know, Mr. Jonathan is saying again, both the body cam footage and the interrogation. So obviously she said something about herself in high school. But in the end, it's not going to matter what happened in high school, grade school, because you're not the same person you are in high school, junior high, college. Doesn't matter that you are a Rhodes Scholar, you were top of your class in high school, or the top of your class in college. It's what you've done at that moment. So whether you're the school teacher, Rhodes Scholar in the past, you were a great person to the neighbors, your job, what is that going to have to do with what you did to the man in the suitcase? And maybe he was a horrible guy. Let me say this, because I hear that they had a turbulent relationship, she and the male. He was known to imbibe drugs and alcohol. He was an alcoholic, and I do believe she was an alcoholic herself, because I believe she and he both were drunk that night when they were goofing off that led to this terrible accident. But nonetheless, there are going to be some people that will judge her. Well, you knew what he was about. You knew he was not a good fit. I've heard that recently. Commentary from the landlord. You're obviously not a good fit. Yeah, I'm not a good fit. Not a good fit for shenanigans and noise 24 hours a day. You damn right, I'm sure right. But back to the story. They were not a good fit. Because if you're not a drug user, you're not going to have anything in common with the drug user. Doesn't matter if you all have similar hobbies and things. You don't use drugs. So obviously, they had a turbulent, violent, physical relationship. She had to arrest herself for beating him up, hitting him, whatsoever, vice versa. She admitted that he used drugs. She was bailing him out of trouble all the time, jail, so on and so forth. So one can say, well, you knew what he was about. and you continue to date them. You continue to bail them out of jail. You continue to deal with them. Why? And people will judge you for that. We've judged people. Why you stay? Why do you stay? That's a good question. Why did she stay? Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, everybody, for joining me in the chat. Because we're all crazy to some degree. That's the one thing I've learned in watching other people's mishaps and misfortunes. We're all eerily similar to some degree. All these stories that we hear, true crime, it's sad to say that it's only a matter of time that some of us will end up being a court TV segment, Oxygen segment, YouTube video. It's the truth. Because every day you'll see a story and you'll say to yourself, damn, how did that happen? Why did they do that? And those people are probably questioning themselves too. How did I get here? It's because we imbibe in foolishness. We continue to do what Sarah Boone did. Continue to date somebody that's an addict, an alcoholic, and an abuser. And you don't bail out. You don't bow out. You continue to be a fixer. And this is definitely the worst case scenario of a scandal episode, if you understand where I'm coming from. You have to know when to say, I'm worthy. I'm better than this. I have to tell myself that. Stop going back in. Because a lot of things are negative. And if you believe in the scripture, it is told God says we should forgive our neighbors, trespassers. But he did not say go back in. And that's where a lot of people get forgiveness mixed up. I can forgive you, but I don't have to continue to deal with you. And many people misconstrue that. Forgiveness does not mean go back in. I can forgive you when I'm ready to forgive you. But when I do decide to forgive you, anytime in between, thereafter, I do not have to deal with you. And this is why we have these jacked up stories. It's because people continue to deal with people. And sadly, they end up hurting them, harming them, or vice versa. And now you have a true crime story. That's all true crime is. Jacked up emotions, jacked up ideologies. And then you can't return from it. Because once it's done, it's done. Can people forgive you for your actions? Of course, that is your choice. Then there'll be those who won't forgive you. And Sarah Boone had to have known this was not going to work out. Dating a man that's an addict, getting drunk, turned up with him, and then fighting him. He's fighting you. Somebody's choking somebody. Somebody's hitting somebody. Somebody was going to get hurt. And that's what people don't understand about violence. Where can it go but downhill? And it went all the way. And she stupidly filmed it. That's where she messed up. She could have possibly get off had she never filmed it and just woke up the next day and called the police and said, oh my God, I found him in a suitcase. He was drunker than Cooter Brown. He loves to, play stupid games. But then the flip side is the evidence of the suitcase. Let me say that before I jump to my next subject. Evidence says he couldn't zip himself up in the suitcase. Okay. Evidence says there was no room for a finger or more to slip through the zipper from the inside to zip himself up. So Sarah messed up with the zipper because she says, oh, no. He had room to zip himself up. Law enforcement says, no, Sarah, he did not. So you messed up by zipping him up. And forensics says he had no way to zip himself up or unzip himself. Number two, you filmed it. And the whole world has seen that brief phone video. And that's true, Shannon. Even in your worst moment of dealing with life, financial, job, depression, mental problems, addiction, messed up relationships, courtships, work, whatever your problems are. You're right. Nothing is as bad as having to stand trial for the murder of someone. And that's when you have time to go back and reflect. Damn, maybe I should have made a better decision. Maybe I should have walked away. Maybe I shouldn't have got involved with that person. Maybe I shouldn't have listened to these people. Because, people are in jail for various reasons. Either they felt coerced, they went along with the program of a crime. In the end, it's still a decision once you're an adult. You're not a child. It is your choice to hurt and harm somebody. If it's not self-defense, you willingly made that decision. Thank you for joining me. Next subject, BTK. I'm going to say something before I get started. No, maybe I'll wait. I think I'll wait because some people are not going to like what I have to say. So I'm going to wait and give you the information, and then we'll go from there. Okay, as I was saying earlier, they have searched law enforcement, the previous property in Kansas, and the Osage County Sheriff has found some items of interest that may connect Mr. Dennis Rader, to a 1976 teen disappearance in Oklahoma. That's a long time ago. It's almost 50 years that a young lady went missing. And they believe that Mr. Rader may be linked to her disappearance. So now we have to ask, what are the items that they have of interest that may link Mr. Rader to this disappearance of this young lady? News Nation is the source. Let's see what they have, everybody. Pantyhose found in search, sheriff says. Ms. Vargas is the source of News Nation. Thank you so much.
A dig. So originally there was a building in that location. It had been removed back when they removed the house and the other items. And then a sidewalk was constructed right over the top of the site. So basically through our investigation, we developed some information Dennis had sent to another person describing where items that he basically claimed as trophies and maybe driver's license from other victims had been placed and had not been found. On the first trip up under the edge of the concrete, we found a set of pantyhose that appeared to have been possibly tied around someone. Mm. And from that information, we went back to Park City and visited with KBI. And yesterday, they removed the concrete for us to actually look where the information said those items were buried. And in those locations, we found several items that we feel like could possibly relate back to victims or maybe to binding shoes with victims.
So you found pantyhose. Are you able to link those pantyhose at this point to any specific case?
Well, at this point, they're collected and they're in, and they'll be evaluated at a later time to see if there's any DNA or any type of evidence that could be related.
Any other items that you can share that were located, Sheriff? I saw we have the video. You can see where the sidewalk was split. I assume that's where the shed was at one point. Any other specifics on the items that you found?
Well, I can tell you the items were all probably 14 to 16 inches below ground. One of them appeared to be a manufactured, constructed hole that had been lined with composition shingles to possibly protect the brick at the bottom as kind of a base for that. And then items have been placed in there. We did not find driver's license, but we did find items that would be personal type items that obviously were significant for somebody to go through that effort to place those items there. Mm. And again, the information that we were working on was originally created by Dennis back in 2008, sent to non-law enforcement. So we have no idea whether someone else had removed items from that location prior to that sidewalk being put there or not.
Wow, this is a big development, though. The fact that you found items that could be significant, including the pantyhose. I'm curious, Sheriff, you've actually went and talked with BTK, Dennis Rader, several times yourself as part of this investigation. What was that like? Has he been forthcoming with any information related to these cases that you're looking into?
We've had long conversations, interviews. Information has came out that we feel is very relevant to our case, and then going through items that we've discovered and been shared with other law enforcement on, the search originally done back in 2005. Those items have tied in, and from those documents, we believe he's tied in with our case and our prime suspect, and possibly on several other cases in Kansas and one in Missouri.
Yeah, it's my understanding that this is almost a game to him, that he calls this whole investigation that you're working on something about like following the Yellow Brick Road, and that he's even nicknamed you the cowboy. I mean, do you get the sense that he's taking any of this seriously?
Oh, I think he's absolutely taking it seriously. But again, he's had a history of cat and mouse with police since the 70s, up until his capture. Yeah. And I don't expect a change now.
Well, Sheriff, incredible work on your part all these years later, knowing where to dig and finding those items. We'll certainly stay on top of the investigation, and we appreciate you joining us today.
Thanks so much for watching.
All right, everybody. Knowing where to dig. I want you to think about those words. How would they know where to dig all these years later? Is it because of the information, conversations between the daughter and Mr. BTK recently, that they decided to go back to the house to dig up something? Because, depending on how big a yard is, how would you know where to start? Naturally, no one's going to bury anything in the front of the yard. That's too conspicuous and too obvious. So you would go to the back of the yard. But still, depending on how big a yard is, from front to back, how would you know where to go dig? So I guess you would have to go to get that tool that searches the most, the vegetation that's been moved. They have a tool that they can use that can show that something has been dug. It's not natural, let's say. So did they use that tool? And voila, pantyhose. Did Mr. Rader put those pantyhose there in this makeshift burial? And why? Well, one would say he wanted a memento, because many killers like souvenirs. Because some of you would say, well, if you didn't kill her there at the house, why keep pantyhose? What's so significant about pantyhose? It's significant because that was a part of his MO. BTK, bind, torture, kill. So I bound her with pantyhose, tortured her thereafter, then murdered her. Them, plural. Are these pantyhose and other items relevant to this missing young lady or any other person? You see, the one thing people need to understand about a serial killer, they have perfected the craft well in their eyes, and possibly others. And once they are apprehended, they do not have to tell you anything once apprehended. That's what you're hoping they will do. But as time goes along, detectives, CIA, FBI, they realize the obvious. We are dealing here with a very sinister, diabolical creature. And you can't believe half of the stuff that they tell you, because in the end, they're going to tell you what they want you to know. And you're going to hear that from the daughter of Mr. BTK. That, oh, I knew he was lying to me, and I know that he is a liar. So that's why you can't believe what they tell you. And as you heard this sheriff say, He has played cat and mouse with law enforcement before. So you can go talk to him all damn day. But are you getting anything of relevance? Substance? Because he has nothing better to do but play these games, whether he is sickly, wheelchair bound or not. So long as he still has his faculties, he can lie. And that's what many killers have done. They know they're not coming out of the prison. They know they're not going anywhere. So they can play these mind games and send you around in circles and rabbit holes because they can. They like me. They need me. So I can make up stuff, change my mind, give them a little bit, take a little bit back because I can. Trophies. And what was found in this burial, are they trophies? Coffin Daffer gives her opinion, ex-FBI agent. She speaks to News Nation. Thank you for joining me.
For News Nation law and justice contributor to help us break all this down. Jennifer, you just heard that. I mean, this is new. This seems significant. Not only were they digging, but they found items that the sheriff says are important that could be related to the investigation, including the pantyhose. I mean, this is all brand new information.
Right, Brian, it's so significant. They specifically talked about not only the pantyhose, but then he also generally said other binding materials. He talked about items that were personal. And so I take that as possible trophies from these victims. And this could help them solve these other peripheral crimes, peripheral meaning the ones he hasn't been charged with yet, to bring other charges and, more importantly, closure and an explanation as to how and why and when these other victims lost their lives.
And you've been studying this case for a long time, Jennifer. You're actually from that part of Kansas originally. One thing that I struggle with is it's always seemed to me like BTK loves the attention. I mean, he talks to reporters. He likes to be the center of attention. He likes all of this focus on him. It just seems odd to me that he wouldn't have somehow hinted at being connected to these murders earlier on.
Well, there's so many hints out there, Brian. I remember, of course, living there from about 77 until about 87. And during this time frame, of course, was when he was very active and part of that time frame. And the letters that he was sending to the Wichita Eagle and Beacon, which was the newspaper there, to Cake Radio, to the television station there, it was really something. The different things he talked about. We heard cat and mouse. This was an extreme example of that, Brian. This was just dangling little clues and just basically saying, catch me if you can.
One thing that I could think could be an explanation is the fact that there is the death penalty in Oklahoma. Is it possible he doesn't want to fess up to these specific crimes, knowing that that could actually lead to an execution?
Brian, it's a perfect point. Yes, I think absolutely. He was terrified of the death penalty. He pled at the last minute. Unbeknownst to anybody, he also stood silent, which I also thought was interesting. So yes, Brian, I think he wants to avoid the death penalty at all costs.
Seems like that could be an explanation. And just real quick, Jennifer, I want to get some breaking news involving Brian Koberger out of Idaho. This just happened. He has now waived his right to a speedy trial, which means that October 2nd date that we were also focused on for the trial, that is not going to happen. It is officially delayed now. It seems like that's not really a surprise to most people following the case, Jennifer.
That's correct. Not a surprise at all, Brian. We expected that. A motion to continue. As soon as we heard that the stay was not going to be allowed, this is what we expected. So, and it happened.
So we'll see. This could now be happening sometime next year. Jennifer, thanks for being with us as always. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Brian. Good to see you.
All right, Mr. Brian Enton and ex-FBI agent Jennifer Coffin Daffer. I like her. I also follow her on Twitter. So here we go. When you watch this video, you will see the slabs of concrete, I'm assuming, are in the backyard. And they look out of place because It's like a half of a sidewalk going nowhere. So why would they be there? Very strange or very obvious. Take your pick. So what we have to ask is the obvious question. The items underneath the slabs of concrete, is this from BTK or somebody else? Dear God, help me. We will see. They play mind games because they can, as I said earlier. I'll tell you what I want you to know. So you hear the death penalty mentioned is possibly a reason why he didn't confess to other murders, because he wanted to live. I'm a legend in here. I'm a legend in life. I've killed all these people. I've killed more. I'm not going to tell you about all the people I've killed. I'll give you bits and pieces as I continue to breathe. But all in all, I'm not going to tell you everybody that I murdered, because I don't have to. I got to have something for me, personal, number one. And number two, I've got to preserve my life because I'm not ready to die yet. I can't roam, but I don't want to be dead. The daughters decided to speak and help law officials pertaining to this new information about this young girl who is still currently missing. And I'm going to say this, and some of you may not like what I'm getting ready to say, but I'm going to say it anyway because I'm entitled to my opinion. There's something creepy about this daughter and these interviews with the news. Now, many people are applauding her for speaking up, talking about her life with BTK, so on and so forth, coming forward with this new information and trying to talk to her father to see if he's going to tell anything about this girl, this missing girl. But what I found weird is that during this interview, they don't show her face because she just had surgery. So my mind is venturing towards, why even do the interview at all? And someone say, well, she's just trying to be helpful. I don't think like everybody else. I just don't. I weigh the information and then I form my opinion. If I just got out of the hospital, and you're going to hear this, I didn't even want to play this because I didn't really want to get into all this. Why would I be talking to the news if I just got out of the hospital? Whether it be you showing me talking or just audio. Why? Why do you need to talk to the news about your father still? And why do you need to now go to the prison and try to talk to your father about this case? You haven't seen your father in 18 years. Listen to me very carefully now. She said she hasn't seen her father in 18 years face to face. Now, all of a sudden, out of the blue, we get this new information about this missing young lady from 1976. And maybe BTK is tied to her disappearance. And they have gone now and dug up the property where he lived and found some items of interest. Why now does the daughter need to go to the prison to talk to the father? Naturally, wouldn't law enforcement go talk to him? Hey, Mr. Rader, we need to talk to you about such and such. Do you know her? Did you have any contact with her? I don't know. I'm very leery about this daughter. It's just something about her. I don't know. It's creepy because every time I turn around, she has something to say about any killer. And God forbid, this mess with Kohlberger. A lot of people felt like he was emulating BTK. He was instructed under the lady that wrote a book about him or whatever, his professor years ago. And the next thing you know, once people found out that Kohlberger had that lady as a professor and that professor wrote a book on BTK and talked to BTK, oh, here comes all the hypotheses and speculations. And then here comes the daughter talking about BTK and her and Kohlberger being similar and possibly Kohlberger emulating BTK. See, you don't really know if Kohlberger emulated BTK or not, because there are thousands of people who have been arrested as serial killers throughout history. So you really don't know. And I'm not trying to berate her, but there's just something creepy about her to me. They're showing all these pictures of her and BTK together when she was a child, and marriage and so on and so forth, him taking her fishing and this and that. The fact that she and the family had no idea they were living with a serial killer. But I want you to think about that for just a second. Most people will call a serial killer rapist a chameleon. They know how to charm people. They know how to turn it on and off, such as Mr. Theodore Bundy. They know how to bring you into the fold and then turn on you, which that's been proven. But when you watch BTK's behavior in court while he was admitting to his crimes, some of them, he was cold, stark, numb, stoic, mummified. So what I'm asking you is, if he was talking like that in court, how the hell was he a doting father and husband? I'll wait. Just listen to what I'm saying to you now. Go back to his court appearances where he's admitting killing these people. And then look at the pictures of him with the children fishing, whatever holiday it was, Christmas, and ask yourself, how do you go from the doting father, husband, if he was a doting husband, to the guy that was breaking in people's houses and binding them, torturing them, and killing them? Because at some point, he still had to have that same personality of this stern individual on his job, which we had heard that. Maybe he was more quiet, but he was stern in his demeanor, versus being a father, taking your children on hunting trips, shopping, what he was like at home with the children. I'm trying to understand the two. Because at some point, he had to have brought the killer side into the house. That's the point I'm trying to make. You want me to believe he was mild-mannered at home, never raised his voice, never was stern, never gave stiff punishments to his children, never raised his voice, never cursed, and then went out to the street and broke into people's houses and killed them? Make me understand that. Let's hear what the daughter has to say. I don't know. She's been speaking a lot lately, and it's something about her talking lately just bothers me. I don't know. It just seems like she wants attention, because you heard in this commentary, BTK liked attention, the sheriff says. So is this a case of the daughter also likes attention? She has her father's traits as far as seeking attention. And some of you may say, Angela, that's not nice, but it's just a feeling I get. There's something off with her. Because when she started talking about Kohlberger, when all this mess came out with Kohlberger and the Idaho 4, I don't know, it rubbed me the wrong way. And a lot of people want to hear about people who lived in a house with a serial killer, because many of us are fascinated with serial killing, rapists, how they came to be, how they were raised, what led them down this path, the people that lived with them, dated them, what was their demeanor like. But I don't know, it's something about this daughter. And when you hear her speak about going to the prison to see the father, her calling the detectives and FBI, her team, that rubbed me very wrong. Your team, you're not a law official. You're the daughter of a serial killer. But you're not an FBI agent, CIA, U.S. Marshal, sheriff, investigator, state police. You are a random human who just so happen to be related to a serial killer. And naturally, any information that you can give, I'm sure they are appreciative. But the point is, BTK is the person they really need to talk to, because he holds the key to any cases unsolved that he has not admitted to. Not you. BTK only. And her speaking in this conversation sounds like clout chasing to me. That's my opinion. And I don't like it. Because in the end, these people died horrifically, and they're not coming back. These people are not coming back. I'll play the information and you tell me what you think. And we'll go from there. Thank you for joining me. Information has now come out that he is not cooperating with authorities. This is what the daughter has said. Let's let her tell you the state of her father and what happened when she went to go see him in prison. Thank you for joining me. It's a hot mess. And also, we now hear that Korberger has delayed the trial. So it'll be sometime next year that we will see him go stand trial for the horrific murders of the Idaho Four. And this is also disturbing. He's also playing cat and mouse games with the court because he knows he's guilty, because anybody innocent will want to get it on and over with. But this is what you can do because these are your rights as a suspect. You can play these mind games with the court.
Just out of the hospital, and so she's going to be by voice only. She's still recuperating. Carrie, are you okay?
Hello, Dawn.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine, and I'm doing well tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for doing this. I know it's been a rough week for you with your own issues, but also then hearing about the dig, which you knew was coming. You volunteered to do something that I can't imagine was very easy for you. After 18 years of not seeing your father, you sat face to face with them. Tell me about it.
Well, starting in January, my dad was releasing news to another outlet about Cynthia Kinney after Osage investigators were going and visiting him. What was happening was that Osage was going in pretty cold, not with much information, and then my father was turning around making phone calls to people after they left, like basically building a case like for why he could be involved in the kidnapping and disappearance of Cynthia Kinney. So this information then was coming out through another outlet. And so I had been on record for months saying, no, it was just the 10, just like all experts would have told you until maybe yesterday that it was just the 10. Then in June, we found out about Shauna Garber. She was found murdered in Southwest Missouri in 1990. And that one actually really more fits his MO with the bondage, the way her body was found and the way she was dumped. So then I really was just wondering what was going on. And I reached out to McDonald County, Missouri, and they quickly got me over to Osage County, Oklahoma, and flew me in within days. And then I literally met with my Osage team, and then the next morning I was meeting my dad in prison.
I can't imagine that first moment when you were face to face. I guess a two-pronged question. What was it like for you, and did he say anything to you of value?
Oh, goodness, Ashley. First, we just had a reunion. I hadn't seen him in 18 years. He hadn't seen me. We had been cut off for 2 years. It had been letters all that time before that. So it took him a minute to process who I was. He's lost 7.
Why was she cut off from him for 2 years? Was it the first 2 years of him going into prison? They didn't want him to have contact with people. Which one would say, why? Because it seems like to me you want to learn all you can. I know that they record conversations on cell phones, jail, house phones, private phones at that time before we had cell phones. And also go through some of the letters that serial killers receive. I think some of them are proofread. So why would she be cut off from him? She only had contact by letters. Why? I thought maybe she just didn't want to talk to him, but obviously she did. So did the wife also stay in contact with Dennis Rader and anybody else? And who are they? And what was said? Anything significant or non-significant? And still, once again, why did she feel the need to contact the sheriff's department? He's talking to people back in January who went out to talk to him about a woman missing, young girl missing. She's telling you one woman sounds like his MO, but maybe not this other girl. Well, we learned that BTK killed his victims in different ways. So you can't say he is related and not related to either party, because BTK did not kill all his victims the same. We know this. He hung a child from a rafter in a basement. Then he killed some other people, I think, by gunshot. So he did not kill everyone the same. I don't know, Shannon. You might want to ask her that. How do you get reacquainted with a serial killer? Because that's the whole point of what I'm trying to explain to everybody. You say 2 years you had no contact. You only contacted him by letters. Now you're saying 18 years you haven't contacted him at all. Why? So why now even talk to him? You had to have felt some type of way against Mr. Rader, your father, to go damn near 20 years and not talk to him. So why just because all of a sudden they get information, law enforcement, of him maybe being connected to this victim or another victim, you just pop up, voila, call these people, sheriff's department, and then get flown from one jurisdiction to the other to tell them what exactly? That's their job, to contact Mr. Rader to ask him anything they think is relevant to a old case. I'm trying to figure out what relevance would she have and information she would have to help them. Just like her saying, well, I don't think he did this to this girl over here. But then yet you're going to hear her say in his commentary, he is a liar. Well, then you can't say what he would and wouldn't do then. You can't say who he would kill. You can't say who you think he did and did not kill. You know your father's a liar because, one, you lived in a house with a man who was out here torturing and killing people and came right home and played daddy to you and husband. He may have been a provider, but he is also sinister. He's rogue. He's the devil himself. So you can't say what Rader would and wouldn't do. You can't say which crime he did and didn't do because he's a monster. And he would keep some murders to himself for whatever reason. Let's finish this commentary. Thank you for joining me. This is crazy nonsense.
For that. So it took him a minute to process who I was. He's lost like 7 inches. And he's in a wheelchair. He's pretty much rotting like to his core. And so he didn't even necessarily recognize me. So we had to have a family reunion. And then I just basically laid it out that I was there with Osage investigators. And at that time with McDonald County, that my team literally was in a holding room and that we were there to talk.
Did you hear that? My team is in a holding room. So she's letting him know, hey, I'm here with the police. I'm not really here to see you as a daughter, missing my father, missing contact with you. I'm here because there's new information that you may be linked to some crimes. You've been out running your mouth, talking and reaching out to these investigators months ago. So I'm here to help them, my team. This sounds very sick to me. I'm sorry. You don't agree? That's fine. Let me say this again. No, I'm not sorry. This is just my opinion. There's something wicked about this. Right. Family reunion. Exactly. That sounds strange to me. That sounds strange to me. The wording she's using is off. Family reunion. We had to talk. No, you didn't. It appears to me that you only went to that prison because you hearing your father talking to these investigators months ago. He's giving his opinion about this and this. And then you decided to take it upon yourself to go jump in this mess, in this rabbit hole. Did somebody call you directly and say, hey, do you have information about this, this, and this? If she didn't even know her father was a killer, what could she tell them about any new victim, any old cold case? She couldn't. Rader is who they need to speak to. Hey, Rader, do you know this chick, this lady, this girl? Did you ever talk to her, pick her up, break in her house, give her a ride? Rader's the only one that can answer these questions. This is just how I feel. There's something creepy about this daughter. It's just off to me. And allegedly, she just had surgery for whatever reason, and she's sitting here talking to the news via a phone. Why? Just tell me why. It's weird.
In a holding room, and that we were there to talk about serious things. And it was the first time he ever dropped his mask and became BTK in front of me.
So did he tell you anything of value, or did he stonewall you like he's been stonewalling investigators?
Oh, he was running me down rabbit holes. And then when I went back about a month later, he was running me down about 500 rabbit holes where you can't get him to focus. Or, I asked him, like, do you use your intellect here and tell us what you think happened to Shauna Garber? apply that is say, put yourself in somebody's shoes. And he came up with these things.
See, right there, when somebody in the comment section said Banfield didn't go right in and ask, she did ask. She just asked. She basically said, well, what did he say? What did he tell you? She did ask. Drop the mask, okay? She could have been specific and said, he did this, he said this. She didn't say what he did and didn't say. She just said, he sent me around rabbit holes. So people are going to want to know exactly, what do you mean by that? What did he exactly say, dear? That made you feel like he was sending you down rabbit holes. What did he say? I know her, I don't know her. I heard of the story, I didn't hear of the story. See, what you were supposed to ask him is a direct question, what they ask you when you are in an interrogation as a suspect or eyewitness. Do you know the victim? Have you met the victim? Have you heard of the victim? Have you heard of their name? Did you kill such and such? Get to the damn point. And that's what you should ask your father. Hey, this girl is missing, blah, blah, blah. Did you kill her? Did you know her? Did you meet her? Have you heard of the story? This is why you don't ask a fucking killer, well, if you were in this position, this was the stupidest thing she said to me. If you were in this such and such, and what do you think about this? You don't ask a killer what he thinks about the girl. Just go for the jugular. Hey, Dad, did you kill this girl? They've got evidence or material that's linking you possibly to her. They've dug up the ground and there are things buried on the old property where we used to live. Who put it there? Because you are the only one that's in prison for killing people. So did you kill the girl? I'll just ask straight out. Don't ask him a hypothetical question. What do you think about the person that would do it? That makes no sense to me. When he's already in prison for killing people. You're going to ask a serial killer a hypothetical question. Does that make any damn sense? It's a difference if you go to him asking him about somebody who's been arrested as a suspect for a murder or murders. What do you think motivated him? Do you think there's more victims? I can see asking him that, such as the Kohlberger situation, because Mr. BTK has jumped in on that as well. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he said that he believes Kohlberger emulated him. Okay, so yes, he likes attention. So that's why I'm saying, if you're there because investigators think your father possibly killed this lady or another lady, why are you asking him hypothetical damn questions? Ask him, hey, did you kill this lady? Hey, there's things found at your property. They believe you may be the person that killed her. What are the odds that there are things buried on the same property of a serial killer? So now we got to ask, either you did it or the person that bought the property after you did it. Or somebody that has access to the property after you were arrested. Buried those products. Then you got to think about the type of products they are. Binding products. When were they made? 20 years ago, 50 years ago, or 10 years ago? I don't know. Something about BTK's daughter, and what is creepy to me, and what you have to ask yourself is the obvious. What traits does she have of BTK? I'm not trying to be mean, but listening to her speak, the words she's using in this interview about family reunion, I'm here with my team, she sounds like she's clout chasing off her father's behavior, his notoriety, who he is, and the current cases that law enforcement is working to see if BTK is involved. This is not good, and it doesn't sound good coming out of the mouth of a woman. And somebody who's also his child. And we're hoping she doesn't have any BTK traits. That's just my opinion. Let me finish this nonsense.
He came up with these theories and things, but then he gave me an alibi, and I'm literally believing him, even though I know he's a pathological liar. And then I go meet out with my team, and they're like, he just lied to you. And I was like, prove it to me. And they pulled up a calendar and proved it to me. And then I was like, okay, he's yours, taking like frying, because he's literally sitting there lying to his daughter that he hadn't seen in 18 years.
They have given him this immunity deal that pertains to this tri-state area where they believe at least these two women and maybe more could be. Is there anything that can actually entice your father to give up any goods? Would an immunity deal do anything, given he's in prison for life anyway?
Well, the idea is that if he would take immunity, like, it would spare my family from having to go through possible grand juries and trials as like witnesses, his extended family. It would spare the community. My dad basically said maybe he would like to go out like a Roman candle. It's important to understand, though, that it's not my dad pushing these. He's very unhappy with what's going on. It's the investigators doing the hard everyday work of investigating that are pushing these cases. We're coming up against a man that's playing lots of games. My father does not want to be put in a van and woken up in Oklahoma in a holding cell for, the kidnapping of Cynthia Kinney. He wants to live his life out at the prison that he's at. So that's one pressing point, that if he's not going to cooperate, then we're going to do this the legit hard way, and he's going to wake up some morning somewhere he doesn't want to be.
That's fascinating. I would never have thought that. I usually think inmates want any field trip they can get. But since you just told me that, Dennis Rader's now in a wheelchair, maybe things have changed for him. I can't thank you enough, Carrie Rawson, for joining me tonight. I know that, again, I'll repeat it, you've had a very bad week. This is a lot for you to do this interview. And I think just emotionally as well, I'm just going to say it, that's got to be really rough for you to have to go through all of this at this time. So thank you so much, and I hope to speak with you soon.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch. We're going to be on this for a while here. Thank you.
I think we will. Carrie Rawson joining us live tonight.
Carrie Rawson, BTK's daughter. If you listen carefully at this commentary, it's in the YouTube queue via News Nation and the Vault XL. She keeps using the word we, as if she is law enforcement. Well, Carrie, you are not law enforcement. And the fact that you just got out of hospital for whatever reason, seemed like to me you'd be more focused on your health than talking to News Nation or any other entity about BTK. That's my personal opinion. We are going to be on this for a while. Like someone in the chat said, why even involve yourself? Let it go. You're talking about going to court, testifying, being a witness. That leads me to believe you like this bullshit pertaining to BTK. You are fascinated with the fact your father is a serial killer. You like the limelight. He likes the limelight. Hell no, he doesn't want to wake up in another cell, starting the process over again. He's comfortable where he is. He doesn't have to worry about moving his things to another place, going without what few amenities he may be offered at the current prison he's at. Yeah, we get it, but we don't care. What we're concerned with, some of us who are woke, is your involvement in this new cases and why you're getting involved and what information you could possibly give to law enforcement of some cases that's damn near 50 years old and also from 1990, if we are to believe Mr. BTK is behind the one lady's, I guess, disappearance or death. This is all creepy to me. A woman who just got out of hospital giving an interview to News Nation, and everything in the conversation is we. Yes, we will be on this for a while, like she's taking up what she did. Oh, at first I didn't believe him, but I know he's a liar. This is why you shouldn't be involved. Let it go. Let the sheriff, FBI, whomever, work these cases as they come along. And if they believe that your father has some relevance to these cases, then you let them investigate them and you just watch from the sidelines. Now, naturally, somebody will try to hunt you down for an interview to say, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, they think your daddy may have done this. If you want to give your opinion, that is up to you. But frankly, joining in and flying into prisons and jails is weird to me when you've had no desire, obviously, to go see your father. Prisons have privileges. Inmates have privileges, most of them. And I can't see why they would not want you to see your father, because biologically he is your dad. Now, each prison has his or her own way of doing things as far as the inmates and who they want to have contact with them for certain reasons, such as, the Gangster Disciples leader at the time in Chicago, Mr. Hoover. Nobody wanted him to have contact because of his affiliation with gangs and crime and violence. Okay. But he's been locked up a long time as well. Some would say, what's the damn harm? With him, I would let Rader have contact with whomever, because you don't know what you might learn in letting him talk to people, interview with people, write letters, you know what I'm saying, so on and so forth, have visits. Let him have visits. Record it. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. But I have a problem with this daughter. I have a problem with her riding on the coattail of BTK. And we have learned that serial killers are narcissists by nature. And naturally, the traits you have come from your parents. Some, not all, but some. You also pass traits down to your children if you decide to procreate. And I got a funky suspicion that Carrie has traits of BTK, and it's borderline narcissism. Because here is we. You haven't looked at your father in 18 years, and all of a sudden, law enforcement is getting information of some cold cases. They reach out to him. He starts talking to the public, news entities. You become fascinated with whatever the hell your father is saying, which is none of your damn business. And now you want to start reaching out to these people. Now they're flying you in here and there to talk to this agency. And now you're also going to the damn prison after 18 years. And you want me to believe this is not suspicious behavior on your part. It is. And that's my opinion. She's tainting that special word by calling that demon a father. Marion says, now, why would you get out of the hospital and you're willing to do an interview? That's just crazy. Exactly. And as I said, there are going to be people that listen to this live stream. They're going to say, well, Angela, you're kind of hard on her. Her father was a killer. Yeah, but that's all past tense. That's the past. BTK is the past. BTK still wants to remain relevant. That's why he reached out to law enforcement months ago. He wants to remain relevant. Stay woke. He is going to lie and manipulate because that's what he has done before being arrested. But when you watch him in court, he's cold as ice. And you are not going to make me believe he wasn't that way while raising children and being a husband, because how do you turn it on and off? And we know that naturally they are charmers. They're gifted at lying, manipulating. But some of the killing traits had to have been evident at home, at work. I refuse to believe different. And Carrie, to me, is exhibiting narcissism here by getting involved with law enforcement, and the way she describes herself alongside them, we, is creepy to me. And that's my final say on that. Gilgo Beach ex-chief has been arrested for solicitation, prostitution. Let's jump to that story. Thank you so much for joining me. News Nation is the source, uploaded 20 hours ago.
Well, the former New York police chief who once led the investigation into the killings at Gilgo Beach has been arrested again. James Burke was taken into custody yesterday and charged with trying to solicit sex from an undercover officer. Burke was Suffolk County Police Chief from 2012 to 2015. News Nation's Sloan Glass is live in New York with more on the arrest and how this could impact the Gilgo case. Sloan, I'd have to believe that anyone that have questions about the arrest of someone who once led the investigation.
Absolutely, Nick. And this could influence the defense team's strategy when they are on trial and defending their client, Rex Heuremann, who is the accused Gilgo Beach serial killer. The former Suffolk County police chief is accused of botching the initial investigation, and his latest arrest only intensifies the accusations that he did botch that initial Gilgo Beach investigation, that he famously blocked the FBI, many point to his own behavior as the reason Burke did not want the FBI poking around in his county. Burke rose to power despite a department investigation early in his career involving allegations of drugs, a lost gun, and a sex worker in his squad car. In 2015, he was arrested by the FBI.
Wait. Let me go back to what she just said. Hold on a minute.
That he did botch that initial Gilgo Beach investigation, that he famously blocked the FBI, many point to his own behavior as the reason Burke did not want the FBI poking around in his county. Burke rose to power despite a department investigation early in his career involving allegations of drugs, a lost gun, and a sex worker in his squad car.
Wow.
In 2015, he was arrested by the FBI and convicted of beating a suspect who stole pornography and sex toys from his department SUV. That arrest also led to the downfall of the Suffolk County District Attorney. While in federal custody, Burke was investigated after oxycodone was found in his housing area. Now, the one-time four-star chief arrested Tuesday morning for allegedly soliciting sex with a male undercover officer in a Suffolk Park by the Vietnam War Memorial.
Oh my God.
Offering a sex act, public lewdness, indecent exposure, and criminal solicitation. And they say he tried to get out of the arrest by leveraging his status as former law enforcement.
Identified himself and said who he was. Do you know who I am?
What a mess, you guys.
To us how this would
oh wow.
Be a public
wow.
For him and such.
Attorney John Wright, who represents the families of Gilgo Beach victims Jessica Taylor and Shannon Gilbert, had this to say on Burke's arrest. The arrest confirmed everything I said about this pervert. He was in charge of the entire investigation of Boone Beach and Gilgo Beach, and that says it all. He definitely played a direct role in suppressing the investigation.
Yes.
And the arrest of Rex Heuremann came after the Suffolk County created a joint task force with New York State Police and the FBI years after Burke is accused of trying to halt those efforts, Nick.
Sloan, I can only imagine how difficult this is for the families who are still looking for their loved ones. Stone
exactly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. Go to
News Nation. Make this live count. I was not going to drop the link, but I'm going to drop the link now because this is I can't even get the words out. This is mind-blowing information. What they just said during this commentary. Sex with a worker in a car. Police squad car. Allegations. Drugs at his house thereafter. I guess after this arrest. Going to prison. He's gone to prison for beating up someone who broke into his police truck, stealing pornography, sex toys, whatever. Why would somebody be breaking into your fucking truck, stealing that stuff? Or was your truck just somewhere and it was just a truck they decided to break into? Because people do break into cars. This is mind-blowing. You botched this investigation into these dead ladies. That's first and foremost. 2012 to 15, he was the chief. Please pay attention, everybody. Did he know Rex Heuremann? Did he know him? Is this a sex underground group? When you go to the back pages, people can become a part of sex groups, pornography groups. They swap pictures, information. Who's to say these two did not meet in an underground group or met somewhere? And he's also in cahoots with Rex Heuremann. Is this ex-chief involved in the deaths of any of those people found at Gilgo Beach and surrounding areas? Number one. Did he have knowledge of a suspect killer? Was Rex Heuremann on the radar then and he pushed it under the rug as not to have investigators coming in finding out that he's been canoodling with sex workers? What if we find out he knew that Rex was on the radar all along. Was Rex an active serial killer during the years of 2012 to 2015? 1,000 questions you can ask. Are there any other workers currently on the Suffolk County Police Department or investigation now that were in cahoots with this chief, and they're also dirty? Dirty district attorney. That's not good. Because you got to remember, police and the district attorney work hand in hand. The district attorney gets information from the police to decide on bringing forward charges against a suspect. So the investigation into the chief is what led to the downfall of the district attorney. Stay woke. One thing begets another. Dirty chief means dirty cops, means dirty district attorney, which also means other dirty folks that are civilians, such as Rex Heuremann. Are all these entities connected? Were connected. Dirty friends, dirty cops, dirty chief, dirty district attorney, underground sex groups. What are we talking about here? Oxycodone found at his house after the fact. He's much smaller now, the chief. You'll see him running to his SUV to jump in. Reporters chasing him. Decent looking white man. What's his damn problem? I want you to jog your memory back to the Asian male crossdresser found deceased. Did Rex kill that guy, know that he was a crossdresser, or was surprised when voila, he pulled his clothes off and realized he's got a penis? Or he solicited a cross-dressing prostitute? Stay woke, everybody. Now, fast forward to this new information of the ex-chief being arrested for soliciting a damn man in a public park. Ding, 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 ding. If bells aren't going off, something's wrong. So you like women, you like men. Now we got to ask that question about Rex Heuremann. Is he a bisexual man? Yes, a very crazy movie. And whoever writes this script, please get it right if you can. Because it's going to be mind-blowing if they can tie law enforcement, all these entities together. Because I got a feeling this is deeper than just Rex Heuremann and an ex-dirty chief and district attorney. There are other people possibly involved, because we got to go back to Miss Gilbert, the night she went missing, the allegations that she drowned, but then they say she had trauma to the body. So how are you going to get trauma if you drown? You drown, you drown. You don't get head wounds, neck wounds from drowning. And she said they, in that 911 call, Miss Gilbert, they are trying to hurt me. You could tell she was sedated and under the influence of something because she was talking very slow during that audio call to 911. Let's hear the allegations against this ex-chief. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Lord have mercy. The plot thickens. This is some wicked stuff. And these allegations are very bad. ABC 7 New York is the source. Ex-Suffolk County Police Chief who oversaw Gilgo Beach murder investigation arrested. James Burke, a former Long Island police chief who served federal prison time for beating a suspect, was arrested Tuesday for allegedly soliciting sex and exposing himself at a public park. Repeat, soliciting sex and exposing himself at a public park. Burke, 58, was taken into custody by park rangers in Farmingville, Long Island Park shortly after 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Who in the hell is trying to get some nookie in a park at 10 in the morning where people walk, jog, walk their dog, ride bicycles, go to read, relax? Are you all hearing what I'm saying? 10 a.m., not 10 p.m., not 11:30, not 12:30 in the morning, in the a.m., the witching hour, 3 a.m., where can't nobody see you doing some nasty, perverted stuff. 10 a.m., he's trying to get sex from an undercover operative. Let me finish. Farmingville, Long Island Park shortly after 10 a.m., according to a spokesperson for Suffolk County Executive Steve Malone. He faces charges of offering a sex act, public lewdness, indecent exposure, criminal solicitation, with additional potential charges pending, the spokesperson said. An attorney for Burke could not be reached. The Suffolk County District Attorney did not respond to a request for comment. Burke led the Suffolk County Police Department, one of the nation's largest police forces, between 2012 and 2015 in a tumultuous 3-year period that ended with the conviction of Burke and multiple other officials on federal charges of obstruction and assault. So you also hear now other officials were also arrested alongside Mr. Burke years ago. Amid the federal inquiry into his conduct, Burke oversaw the high-profile investigation into the Gilgo Beach killings, in which the bodies of multiple sex workers were discovered on a desolate stretch of Long Island coastline. His handling of the case included a decision to end cooperation with the FBI has been widely criticized, drawing renewed scrutiny following the arrest of a suspect in some of the killings earlier this summer. Burke resigned in late 2015, shortly before federal prosecutors brought charges against him for assaulting a handcuffed man suspected of stealing embarrassing items from his police department SUV, including sex toys and pornography. He pleaded guilty in 2016 to violating victim Christopher Loeb's civil rights and obstructing justice for leading a conspiracy to conceal his involvement in the assault. He served 40 months in prison and was released in April 2019. Burke attacked Loeb in a police station interrogation room after Loeb was arrested for breaking into the ex-chief's unlocked department-issued GMC Yukon and stealing a bag containing his gun belt, ammunition, a box of cigars, and a bag containing sex toys and pornography. Let me stop right here. Who the fuck is riding around in a work vehicle, a law enforcement vehicle, with sex toys inside of it? So that means you were using that stuff while on the clock. Stay woke, everybody. Why would I need to have sex toys in my work truck that's a law official truck? Because you thought your shit didn't stink and you could abuse your power as this chief and do whatever you wanted on the clock, off the clock, and you had sex toys in a bag in your fucking truck because you figured nobody's going to be looking at here. Nobody's going to be in here but somebody having sex with me. But you were wrong. Somebody broke into that truck, and I find it interesting that they say this was a law official truck. So that means, wouldn't Suffolk County be on the truck? Wouldn't Suffolk County Police Department logo be on the truck? That's what I'm asking. Or was this a unmarked vehicle? Because it says department issued GMC Yukon. So was Suffolk County logo on the GMC? Loeb's 3-year prison sentence was vacated after Burke pleaded guilty. Authorities suspect he was stealing from cars to buy heroin. So the suspect, his sentence was vacated after Burke pled guilty. How about that? Former Suffolk County District Attorney Thomas Spoda and the chief of Spoda's Anti-Corruption Bureau, Christopher McPartland, were convicted in 2019 of December of witness tampering, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy charges for helping cover up the assaults. So we have a district attorney arrested, and the chief of Spoda's Anti-Corruption Bureau, Christopher McPartland, and Thomas Spoda, who was the Suffolk County District Attorney, 2 other people. Spoda, 81, and McPartland, 57, are both serving 5-year prison sentences. So Spoda, who was the Suffolk County District Attorney at that time, he's an old dusty bat right now. He's currently in prison. How about that? And McPartland, 57, he's in prison as well. both serving 5 years. According to federal prosecutors, Spoda, McPartland, Burke, and other police officers met and spoke by phone to discuss how to conceal Burke's role in the assault on Loeb. In addition to pressuring people not to cooperate, they asked witnesses to provide investigators with false information and withhold relevant information from investigators, federal prosecutors said. That is the information. ABC 7 New York is the source. Bribing witnesses, coercion. 2 others got 5-year sentences. The Suffolk County District Attorney and a Mr. Get it right. Get his name right. They got so many names. McPartland, Christopher McPartland. He's 57, and the district attorney is 81. Both are serving a 5-year sentence for going along with this beating of a suspect. And the sick part is that he beat the man in the jail facility. And they all got in cahoots, officers, this McPartland, Spoda, to cover it up. So I wonder if there will be a lawsuit to the Suffolk County for monetary gain by Mr. Loeb for the beating that he endured. And also his sentence was vacated when Burke pled guilty. After Burke pled guilty, his sentence was vacated, Mr. Loeb's. You see, you never know how deep the rabbit hole goes when it comes to allegations, crimes, law officials being involved, district attorneys, civilians, other people. And this shows you how corrupt the judicial system is. And as I've always said about the government, whether it be state or federal, you do not blame everybody for one person's misdeeds. But if there is proof that there are others involved, then you prosecute them accordingly to the law. And sadly, this rabbit hole went deep. Dirty cops, dirty police chief, and a dirty district attorney. You can't get no deeper than that. That's a lot of people. Now you have to ask how many police officers were also in cahoots to this meetup to try to cover up the chief's involvement in the beating of the inmate. And are those other officials still working for the department, or have they been fired? I'd like to know that. Solicitation in a public park at 10 o'clock in the morning. Lewd acts, public indecency, and possibly other charges for Mr. Burke. And the fact that he's soliciting a man, I want you to listen very carefully to that. A man. The undercover was a man, not a woman. So now we have to ask, the area where this operation took place, is it known for sexual activity and solicitation for prostitution, sex, so on and so forth? Why there? Did they get information that this is a place where people like to solicit others for sex? Number one. How many times has Mr. Burke been in this area for solicitation? How many times has he been soliciting people for sex in general since getting out of prison? We now know that he's a homosexual, because why would a man be soliciting another man for sex? Is he married? Does he have children? Currently in a relationship? Now imagine being married and hearing your husband was in a public park showing his wee-wee and trying to get a man to give him sex. Stay woke now. Imagine that. You got something you want to say about this commentary during this live stream? This is a multifaceted live stream pertaining to Sarah Boone, BTK, his daughter, Rex Heuremann, and this ex-Suffolk County police chief. I put Gilgo Beach, it's all the same. Give your opinion. during this live stream. Make it count. Share this live stream to other platforms. And the last conversation is going to be pertaining to Rex Heuremann. As I said before, does he know Mr. Burke? Did they have any entanglements and involvements with each other while each were free? When did Rex Heuremann stop murdering women? Has Mr. Burke murdered anyone? We might as well go ahead and ask that question now. Did he know Miss Gilbert? Met Miss Gilbert? Mr. Burke? Any other officers know her? Or any other officers on that island during that 911 call from Miss Gilbert? Stay woke, everybody. Is there an underground group in that area? Gilgo Beach, Long Island, so on and so forth. And who else has knowledge in that general area about Miss Gilbert and about any other dead persons found at Gilgo Beach? Thank you for joining me. My last conversation will be pertaining to Rex Heuremann. There's new information coming out pertaining to a woman who says her mother was last seen with Rex Heuremann before her disappearance. And we're going to play that commentary for you. If you would like to hit the link in this chat, the https://StreamYard.com link to give your opinion pertaining to the said subject matter during this live stream, you are welcome to do so. Thank you for joining me. This is some crazy nonsense today. You would think a person would have enough sense after going to prison, losing their job, plead guilty to beating up a man, all their personal secrets out to the public. You get out of prison, you would think a person would try to move on with their life, do better in life, to only now get arrested for solicitation. This is crazy to me. Rex Heuremann is my last subject matter. Hit the link, be heard. Make this live count. Missing South Carolina woman's friend on possible Heuremann link. News Nation is the source, uploaded 11 hours ago. Thank you for joining me. Is Rex Heuremann behind this lady? Oh my God. She's a missing woman. Julia Ann Bean, last seen 2017 with a man who looked like Gilgo Beach serial killer suspect Rex Heuremann. The daughter of Bean is reportedly certain it's him. Heidi Kovas, a longtime friend of Bean, joins Banfield to discuss the potential connection. There's a link in this commentary if you need to hear it. I'll read it by News Nation Now. They are the source of this information. Thank you for joining me.
Rex Heuremann being the Long Island Gilgo Beach serial killing suspect, right? And then today we might need a new name. Because there is a woman in South Carolina who says, I know that face. I saw that face. It was on my graduation night. It was the last face I saw with my mother before I never saw her again. Julia Bean disappeared June 2017 from Sumter, South Carolina, about 100 miles from Chester County, where, wouldn't you know it, Rex Heuremann has it.
100 miles, Sumter County, to where he was living. That is about 1 hour and 32 minutes if you're driving 60 miles an hour, or 1 hour and 46 minutes if you're driving at 55 miles an hour. Yeah, I did my homework. So less than 2 hours where the lady went missing to where he stayed at rental property is less than 2 hours away, the distance between the two locations. Did Mr. Rex Heuremann meet this lady and give her a ride, her and her daughter, Is this daughter correct that this is the man that she last saw her mother with, she and her mother? Did he kill this lady, dispose of her body somewhere in the state of South Carolina, or is this young lady mistaken and this is not Rex Heuremann? You be the judge. Thank you for joining me. News Nation is the source. Less than 2 hours away. The distance between where the lady was last seen and where Rex Heuremann was staying. Is he the suspect in her disappearance?
It's from Chester County, where, wouldn't you know it, Rex Heuremann has a property. Her daughter swears 100% that the last face she saw with her mother was the guy who drove them to the nail salon, made all sorts of promises of, I've got lake houses and you and your friends can use them anytime you want, and I'm going to marry your mother. And then she never saw the mother again. So this is big. Julia Bean's dear friend Heidi Kovitz is speaking on her behalf, and she is kind enough to join me now for her first exclusive national interview. Heidi, thank you so much for being with us. How certain is Julia's daughter that Rex Heuremann is the man who was last seen with her mom?
She's certain. It's him. It's him. She recognized him.
Yeah, sorry, we have a big delay between us. My apologies. What happened when Julia's daughter made that recognition and Rex Heuermann's face was splashed all over the news? What was the next step for not just Julia's daughter, but you as well?
It was awful. It's like it started the pain all over again. You know, you would think that you get some sort of but it started the pain all over again, and this pain was much worse. Now you know for sure that something awful happened to this girl's mother, my friend, and it's awful. It's awful. And
there was one detail that I thought was really fascinating, Heidi, and that was that Julia's daughter not only believes she saw Rex Heuremann and recognizes him from the pictures, but she also says that it was a Chevy Avalanche in which this man brought her to the nail salon. This was her graduation evening. Have you all taken that information to the authorities? And if so, what's been the reaction?
So it was the night before graduation, and, Cam was all excited, and Julie was meeting Cam to get their nails done. And, Julie pulled up in that truck, and, the Rex Heuremann started to tell Cameron that he, had a couple lake houses and a boat, and like you said, her and her friends could borrow it for graduation, and he was going to take her to a concert, and he loved her mom and was going to marry her. And when Cam gave me that information, she was freaked. She was really we live in South Carolina. We don't pay attention to what's going on in New York. And, this was not a high profile case. I was cleaning my house and heard it. And when I saw the victims come across the screen, I knew, that's what happened to Julie, And so I started calling the police right away. And I didn't feel like I was being heard or taken serious. And I couldn't sleep.
So you have spoken to the Sumter County Sheriff's Office, right? I think Detective Charles Bonner at the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. Have you given a full report and the details of that Chevy Avalanche and Julia's daughter Cameron's firsthand, witness account?
Yes. I did. I sure did. I drove all the way to Sumter to do it. Yeah, I live 2 hours from Sumter, but I was like, you're going to listen to me. And I did it on a Sunday morning, and 9 o'clock in the morning, I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, swollen eyes, crying for days, no sleep. Somebody's going to listen to me. Julie didn't leave her kids. She didn't walk away. She was taken. She wouldn't leave her kids. She wouldn't walk away. She was taken. And I just feel like it's really important that...
Did Cameron, her daughter, ever see Rex Heuremann again after that last sighting at the hair salon? The nail salon?
Never heard a peep, nothing. But
so he disappeared along with the mother.
Right.
Let's go back because I'm getting confused about this hair salon business.
So
nail
you
salon.
guys with the Sumter County Sheriff's Office, right? I think Detective Charles Bonner at the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. Have you given a full report and the details of that Chevy avalanche and Julia's daughter Cameron's firsthand, witness account?
Yes, I did. I sure did. I drove all the way to Sumter to do it. Yeah, I live 2 hours from Sumter, but I was like, you're going to listen to me. And I did it on a Sunday morning, and 9 o'clock in the morning, I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, swollen eyes, crying for days, no sleep. Somebody's going to listen to me. Julie didn't leave her kids. She didn't walk away. She was taken. She wouldn't leave her kids. She wouldn't walk away. She was taken. And I just feel like it's really important that...
Did Cameron, her daughter, ever see Rex Heuremann again after that last sighting at the hair salon? The nail salon?
Never heard a peep, nothing.
So he disappeared along with the mother.
Right. Yeah.
That's pretty specific. What do you think happened to Julia? Where do you think she is?
We as adults can kind of put two and two together, but there is still a slim chance that she could be alive, and she could possibly be on that property, in that house. There could be other women in there. I understand why we're not going in there, but you got to leave it to the police to do what they got to do. But I mean, I hope to God she's not in that house. I mean, this information came out over a week ago. Like, she's been missing since 2017. There's a possibility she's still alive. And I really want to speak for these kids, Cameron, Carson, and Kaylee. They really miss their mom. They really love her, and they want her to know that, Kaylee, the youngest, she's a sophomore in Texas State College. Carson is fulfilling his dreams. He's a Marine. Cam, she's the tough one. She's the one that picked up all the pieces when Julie went missing. And she's a great mom. She's got 3 little kids. Julie would be a grandma with her little old self. We just want to bring Julie home. And these are Cam's words. Whether it's a tooth, whether it's a bone, whatever it is, she just wants a piece of her mom, something. We just want Julie home. Please, please.
Heidi Kovis, I'm so thankful that you had the wherewithal to do what you did, take that information to the authorities, and I'm thankful that you shared the story with us tonight. Let's stay in touch on this. I want to know what happens with your case and whether the authorities make any connection to New York. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you for watching.
Banfield, everybody. Talking to Heidi Kovis from South Carolina, a friend of Miss Julia Beam, who went missing in 2017 in the state of South Carolina. She drove 2 hours to Sumter County to give information pertaining to the disappearance of her friend. She says that Julia would have never abandoned her children, 3 children. One now is a Marine. One's in college in Texas. And the other one has 3 small children. So that means Miss Julia is a grandmother. So who took care of these children when she disappeared, Miss Julia Bean. Yes, bad feeling indeed. She feels like the friend could be alive. This is just 2017, which would be 6 years ago. But if this is Rex Heuermann's victim, he doesn't leave his victims alive. Heidi, no disrespect to you, sweetheart. That's the purpose of killing him. There will be no investigation. There will be no tattletelling on me. That is why most men kill their victims, as not to have an investigation, as not to be apprehended, as not to have to go to jail, as not to have to stand trial for murder, as not to get a murder conviction. Where is Julia Bean? Is she alive or is she deceased? Did she actually meet Rex Heuermann back in 2017 with her daughter? Is the daughter correct on an identification as Rex as the man that took them to the nail salon? If indeed Rex is the one that took them to the nail salon, how did they get from there to wherever? This is where I'm confused. He gives you a ride. He's making promises of taking you here and using boats and lake houses and blah, 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 which we did find out that he had other properties, timeshares in different states. Is this Rex? Was this Rex Heuermann speaking to Julia Bean 6 years ago? 6, 7 years ago? Did they have contact? What happened after the nails were done at the nail salon? How did the ladies get home? The young lady and her daughter. I'm confused. Did they take a cab? Somebody picked them up? Did he return, pick them up? Drop the little girl off at the house? Who would have been at the house with the little girl if the mother went on to be with Mr. Rex? This is where I'm utterly confused. Let's see if there's more information pertaining to this South Carolina victim. 1 second, please. Thank you all so much for joining me. Once again, if you'd like to donate to this great network, $Beganji, 129, Cash App, stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. The link is in the chat. If you have an opinion pertaining to this live stream, this is a multi-subject matter live stream. Sarah Boone, who now doesn't have an attorney to represent her. All of her attorneys have relinquished their duties as her attorney. BTK, the latest update on BTK and a new victim. Evidentiary material has been gathered from a property where Mr. Dennis Rader, where he owned property in Kansas. Pantyhose have been found. Did Mr. Rader put those items in that grave? And are they linked to a missing girl, teenager? His daughter is also giving commentary, and I've played the audio during this live stream. Suffolk County ex-police chief, Mr. Burt, has been arrested for solicitation to a man in a public park. He's also been charged with other salacious charges. Lewd acts, indecent exposure, and with a man who was an undercover officer during this operation. Does he know Rex Heuermann? Were they involved in an underground sex group? Rex Heuermann may be linked to this Miss Julia Bean from South Carolina, the last subject matter during this live. The daughter has given commentary that he is the person that took she and her mother to this nail salon, and she was never seen again. I'd like to get the circumstances of what happened after the nails were done. Is she correct? She IDs his truck, the truck that he drove, as the make and model of the truck that she and her mother got into. Now, some of you are going to question the behavior of the mother. You're going to say, well, where was she at when she met Mr. Rex or whomever this man is to get in his car with her daughter to get a ride? Has she spoken to this guy before? Day one, day two? What was the conversation like? Had they been dating? Did they meet at a bar? Did they meet online? Did they meet in a app online for sex, such as prostitution, Craigslist, so on and so forth? We need more information because it's vague what News Nation has just revealed. It's very vague. And so I'm going to go in and see if there's more information, because something's missing from this story. Let's go to New York Post, because I want to find a source that's more reliable than the Sun and Daily Mail. This was uploaded August 23rd. The family and friends of a missing South Carolina woman reportedly fear she was last with suspected Long Island serial killer Rex Heuremann, a possibility being investigated by police. Julia Ann Bean's daughter immediately recognized Heuremann, 59, when shown a photo of the suspected killer, who owns a home in Palmetto State. Family friend Heidi Kovitz told the U.S. Sun. "I have chills. I've seen him," the daughter replied in text messages viewed by the outlet. "That was the last man I saw her with personally." She texted of the night her then 36-year-old mom went missing in June of 2017. She knew him right away, Kovitz also told PIX11, of Bean's daughter, who was not identified and did not speak directly to either outlet. She recognized him right away. She said that he was the last person she ever saw with her mom. Kovitz reported that Bean's daughter told her to officials late Sunday, according to the reports. "I truly believe Rex Heuremann did something to my friend," she told the U.S. Sun. "I just want to find my friend." Scott Bonner of the Sumter County Sheriff's Office confirmed that the report was being investigated. "We'll be looking into it on our end," he told PIX11. The Sheriff's Office did not immediately return the Post request for a comment Wednesday, nor did Kovitz, Heuermann's lawyer, Michael Brown, nor Long Island investigators. The Suffolk County District Attorney's Office said it stands ready to assist outside jurisdictions with any of their ongoing investigations, while adding it would not comment on any specific inquest. Heuremann owns property in a wooded area in Chester County, which is about 90 minutes from Sumter, where he reportedly plans to retire. Although he did not buy that property until 2021, his brother Craig has lived in the Chester area since about 2000, records show. Bean's daughter last saw her mom at a nail salon in Sumter the night before her high school graduation, Kovitz told the U.S. Sun. So here's something very interesting. Heuremann didn't buy the property until 2021, but his brother lived in the Chester area since about 2000. So is it possible that Mr. Craig knows of any dealings between Rex and this possible Miss Julia Bean, or he himself as well? Very interesting. Bean arrived in a dark truck driven by a man her daughter now believes to be Heuremann. So that means the mother came in sight in a truck with a man who the daughter believes is Rex. But he introduced himself with a different name, the family friend said. Heuremann was first linked to the Gilgo Beach killings by a distinctive dark Chevrolet Avalanche truck, which was hauled away from his South Carolina property soon after his arrest in New York. See, now that's even more interesting. When Rex was arrested, the truck was in South Carolina on a property after his arrest in New York. Bean's daughter texted that the mystery man with her mom that night told me he has lake houses and big boats if I ever wanted to have a boat party. He also offered to take me to a concert and told me he wanted to marry my mom, the daughter wrote, according to the Sun, which was unable to contact her directly. I never saw her again after that night. Caucasian female. She was age 37 at the time of her disappearance, 5 feet 6 inches, weight between 110, 120 pounds, eyes green, hair light brown. The Sumter County Sheriff's Office, I assume, will be handling this investigation into the disappearance of Julia Ann Bean. Last seen at Red Bay Road area, May 31st, 2017. And was reported missing on November 18th, 2017. Authorities have been actively searching for her since then. She has 3 tattoos on her body, one on her lower back, a tribal design, one on her left hip, the name Scott, and one on her right hip, 8 small paw prints. Family members say she may have left on foot in the area. She does not have a cell phone and is not on any medication. If you have any information, I believe this number is 436-2000, or Crime Stoppers at 436-2718. Where I have a problem with this missing persons poster is this. Please listen carefully to what I'm about to say. She was last seen on Red Bay Road area, May 31st, 2017, and was reported missing November 18th. What's wrong with that picture? June, July, August, September, October, November. 6 months. This is why the Queen always double checks a story. Because when you listen to audio on news feeds for only 2-3 minutes, there's always more to that information. This is why I never do my live streams solely on 3-minute clips from the news. I always go into Google to search the background of the story because I know there'll be more information in the news article. And obviously, there is. News Nation, you forgot to tell us that this is a 6-month interval from the time she was missing, seen by her daughter with allegedly Mr. Rex Heuremann, until the time somebody went and reported her missing. So now you all are going to have to use your common sense with this information and ask yourself, why would it take 6 months to report a person missing? This would lead me to believe that Julia led possibly an unsavory lifestyle, and she came and went as she pleased and did not stay in contact with people. Because if she stayed in contact with her friends and family and that daughter who was graduated from high school, why in the fuck would it take you 6 months to report her missing? I'll wait. What did I just ask before reading that information? I said, how did they get to the nail salon? Mr. Rex or somebody? How did they get back from the nail salon? Or did they really not go to the nail salon? Is it just she met him with the mother in the car and saw him? I'm confused. Something's off with these details. Because the daughter is saying she saw her mother in a truck similar to what Mr. Rex owns. So one is going to ask, A, were you in the truck or not in the truck? Were you outside of the truck talking to your mother and this alleged Rex Heuremann? Did you actually go to a nail salon in that truck with the suspect or someone that looks like him? I'm confused. That's why I always tell you to pay attention to the details, because something's off with this story. He looks like the guy, the truck looks like the truck that belongs to him. And then we find out the truck was confiscated by law officials after Rex got arrested in New York, but yet the truck was in South Carolina. Why is his truck in South Carolina? Ding, ding, ding. Stay woke, everybody. Why is the truck in South Carolina? How long has the truck been in South Carolina? Who had access to the truck? The brother, sister, brother, cousin, who? What? Why? Was that truck planted in South Carolina because he knew it could be linked to Gilgo Beach murders? Bingo card. Somebody spotted the car, said something about the car. He got wind of the car being a potential identification in this disappearance of these women, Miss Gilbert, whomever, and drove the truck to South Carolina and then possibly flew back by plane to New York. Well, Marion, hopefully he won't get a pension, because if you've been fired from law enforcement, I don't know. Naturally, he won't get that pay, but he may have gotten his pay even while he was being investigated, because we've learned that with law enforcement. But I've heard of things with people not getting their pensions, because a lot of wives whose husbands have been in nefarious situations and were in law enforcement, they didn't get a pension. So I'm not sure. But I tell you, there's something stinks here in this story. Because the daughter is feeding the friend Heidi information, but not directly speaking to the news. Why is that? Is it that she doesn't want to be identified? She doesn't want to talk to the news? Because naturally the news is going to reach out to her, and now law enforcement, FBI, state police, they're going to also reach out to the daughter. So will she talk to these people directly? Because it doesn't make any sense to say, he said, she said, my mama said, I saw this, but then you don't want to talk to police. We've got this Heidi lady doing the talking as the mouthpiece for the information from the daughter, and that ain't good. So is this girl telling the truth? Does she have her memory? Is her memory correct? Or is this some other white man that was in the company with her mother? And now we have to ask the ultimate question pertaining to Julia and Bean. Was she a sex worker at the time of her disappearance? Where was she living? Was she dating someone? Was she married? Was she a drug user? Was she living fly-by-night type lifestyle? Pillar to post, different places. Did she have an actual address? Did she have a job? Did she have a car? That's what threw me off with this story, because News Nation, you were vague in reporting this story. And maybe you didn't have everything. I don't know. But something about the story didn't sound right to me. Because all I'm hearing is nail salon telling the girl, hey, you can use my boat, my home, blah, blah, blah. But then Banfield says, oh, the daughter never heard from the guy again, and her mother either. So that led me to believe, what? The girl lived with her mother, or she didn't live with her mother? So where did the daughter live? Because for somebody to report somebody missing 6 months, that would lead me to believe Julia Ann Bean was not taking care of this high school daughter who was about to graduate the next day. Taco said if they didn't report mom missing for 6 months, proves mom was usually missing, and they thought nothing of it. Exactly. Exactly. See, all that's missing from the Banfield report. And those are the things that people are going to want to hear. But naturally, when you watch a news story for a few minutes, you're not going to get everything that's vital to the story. And to me, this is very vital. This is information that the friend Heidi should have told the news. My friend was known to live here, live there. She drank, she used drugs, or she didn't have a place to stay, or she was just visiting her daughter for the day, or she wanted to do something nice for her daughter, but they didn't live together. Because when you give bits and pieces and it doesn't make any sense, that leads people to start Googling the story. And that's what I did, because I didn't want to bring the story just from a 3-minute clip and knowing somebody would fall in the chat. Well, this, and this, and they didn't say this. So something said Google. Because there's always somebody that'll come in the chat and say, well, you didn't repeat this part. Well, I wouldn't know to repeat a certain part had I not Googled. So that's why I did it. As not to leave a stone unturned. And there's something horribly wrong with the story. Or it's just that Banfield didn't decide to bring that information out. Because as you know, News Nation gives us information in intervals for those who follow News Nation. So perhaps News Nation knows about her lifestyle and or other information, and they're waiting to give us another 3-minute, 4-minute clip. I don't know. We'll wait and see. Because I don't want anyone to make it seem like I'm bashing News Nation, but I'm just saying that wasn't mentioned, that it was 6 months before she was reported missing. And that's something many people are going to question. Why did it take you 6 months to report her missing? Where was she living at the time? On her own place, trailer park, apartment, renting, live with somebody else, boyfriend, married? Did she raise all 3 of her children? Ding, ding, ding. Were all 3 children in her possession when she went missing? Where were they the night she went missing? Why did it take you 6 months to report her missing? Who was raising the children if Julia wasn't raising the children? See, you have to ask all those questions because people are going to start talking. And this is what happens with a story. You're going to start getting he said, she said. It is what it is. And like Mike King has said, no matter her past, because I do find it funny, I heard that earlier today before I even listened to this commentary by News Nation. He said, no matter the person's past, her past, she's still a human being who didn't deserve to die or missing. I think this is the woman he was talking about. And that will make me wonder if there's more information out there that just has not been revealed to the public. I think this is who Mike was speaking of. If not, I stand corrected. But the point is still, with Gilgo Beach killings, this now new story of this lady here, Julia Ann Bean, what he said is the truth. It doesn't matter a person's past. No one has the right to murder them, hold them hostage, torture them, and murder them. So whether you are a teacher, nurse, student, teenager, hanging out in the park, a bar, wherever you are in life, nobody has the right to assault you and then kill you. Exactly. And many people do not favor sex workers, prostitutes, drug addicts, and they feel like they're putting themselves in harm's way by the lifestyle that they lead and taking up with strange men, strange women, whomever. But we have learned in life that you do not have to live an unsavory life to end up kidnapped and or murdered. When the devil decides to pay you a visit, he does not care who you are. Elderly, black, white, Jewish, Muslim, man, woman, child, baby. It does not matter. The devil does not discriminate. He uses people to do his dirty work, and that's the spoken word. And many people are no longer living because the devil paid them a visit, or they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. And yes, it is scary because people are killing people just to be killing them. And they are innocent bystanders. They are people minding their business. There are people going about their daily routine, and they are being hijacked, kidnapped, murdered, robbed for monetary gain. So you do not have to be an alcoholic, a drug user, picking up men or picking up women, one-night stands, cross-dresser, gay, bisexual, whatever your preference is in life. As I said, when the devil decides to knock at your door, he will. And sadly, a lot of times people are no longer alive because of the company they chose to keep, and they opened the door to Satan and they let him in. You do have to be aware of your surroundings, the company you keep, the people you meet and greet, the relationships you choose to get involved in. If you decide to have sex with strangers, people you just met, people you think you don't know people. And a lot of people have willingly walked into the lion's den because they did not learn the people that they have met. And anyone can make a mistake because we as people are trusting. Somebody walks up to you to say, hey, you got a flat tire, or hey, your tail light is out. You don't know if it is or not until you go back there and look, and then it may be too late. You go back and get beat in the head with a crowbar or hammer. Now you're down on the ground with a stranger who may rob you and or take you hostage and play dirty games with you. So you don't know. Going in and out of your house in the dark, in the light, anybody can run up, cut your throat, rob you, sexually assault you, and leave you for dead. Take a walk in the park, a hike on a trail, end up murdered, sexually assaulted. Somebody pretending to be a nurse, a friend, passerby, steal your baby out of stroller, buggy, lure your child away, playground. It's all the same. You don't know people. So you have to be aware of the smiling face, the kind gesture, new friend, new acquaintance, co-worker, family member, ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, ex-husband, ex-wife, friends of friends, relatives. Everybody does not mean you good. And then you also have to think about the belly of the beast. When you involve yourself in illegal activity, unsavory deeds and acts, you know you're asking for trouble. Anything nefarious in nature can lead you down the rabbit hole to death. It is what it is. You do not know people. And people will kill you for the most stupidest of things. Somebody drank the last beer. Somebody smoked the last bit of marijuana, fentanyl, dope, heroin, and they blow your brains out, cut your throat. Somebody thinks you got some money. You came into some money. You went and ran your mouth and told your business. Now somebody's breaking into your house. Somebody's holding you hostage at the ATM. You have to be aware of your surroundings. You cannot post things to social media because people think you have something of value. And I've done it recently. I might post something of me with a sports car. I'll let you think what you want to think. Because I don't tell my business. I let you wonder. And then when you come asking, I play dumb. I do it all the time. Sometimes I do stuff just to get a response because I know people are crazy. And then somebody might be saying, well, you're asking for trouble too. But I don't give out exact locations of where I'm going to be at that moment. I may tell you later, oh yeah, I was over here. But I don't have to tell you right then, yeah, this is where I'm going. Because I try to be very careful who I talk to and what I tell about where I live, what I'm doing, where I'm working. And I've learned that too. Probably best you don't tell nobody where you work either. Because that can be a problem because you can't trust the people that where you work and you don't know them well. And then the people out in the street, they might go do some devilment to get you fired. People are wicked. And we know people can easily be crossed. And people will do things if they feel like they've been crossed by others. So this is why I tell you have to be aware of your surroundings. And you have to be aware of how you treat people. Because mistreating people can get you 6 feet under as well now. Don't get it twisted. Revenge is sweet to some, deadly to others. This was a compilation video pertaining to Sarah Boone, BTK, his daughter, Rex Heuremann, and the ex-Suffolk County Police Chief, Mr. Burke. Please go back to the beginning of this video to get the said information and the sources. All information played during this live stream is via the YouTube Cube and my community page. I want to thank you for joining me. Have a safe weekend. I have a movie suggestion for the week. It is called The Ones Below. It is a BBC production. It is a very good movie. I highly recommend you watch it this week or this weekend. The Ones Below, now playing on Tubi. It is awesome. The ending will blow your mind. It is a very riveting thriller. The Ones Below, now playing on Tubi. Thank you all so much for your time. Once again, all channel donations, Cash App, Big Angie, $ Big Angie, 129. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Stickers and chats are welcome. Thank you. Prayers for the Bean family. Prayers for these 3 children that they get a resolution to the disappearance of their mother, Julia Ann Bean. We will see if BTK is linked to the disappearance of this teenager and I believe another female victim. Items have been retrieved from his ex-property out of Kansas. The daughter is giving commentary to speaking to law enforcement, which I do not favor. You will hear that throughout this commentary, but it is what it is. And also, Mr. Koiberger has delayed this trial his trial for the Idaho 4. So I suspect it will transpire sometime in 2024. He's only prolonging the inevitable, and that proves to me that he's guilty. His lawyer has been combating the evidentiary material with the sheath, and she's riding that coattail down into the abyss because she knows damn well there's no reason for his DNA to be on the sheath and on anything inside of that house because allegedly the victims did not know him. So nothing belonging to him should even be at that address or on any personal effects or on the persons of the deceased. Hello there. Thank you for joining. That's my commentary. This was live number 2. Please check out my live earlier pertaining to a Kentucky woman who was held hostage inside of a bedroom, chained by the throat with a padlock connected to the floor. Did she know her perpetrator? Date him? Married to him? Some are going to say, why did he do it? You need not even ask why. The point is, somebody spoke up, heard her screams, and dialed 911. Let's thank those great neighbors in that Louisville, Kentucky neighborhood who helped save the life of a woman. The suspect has been apprehended. And when I get an update pertaining to who he is and how this woman came to be chained inside of this upstairs bedroom of the house, I will bring you that information. And also know that the police had to make their way into the house by force because he had the doors also barricaded. Thank you for joining me. You've been listening to the Father XL.